next guest believes future generations could be in trouble due to the declining birth rate and says that childless couples should pay extra tax in a bid to encourage more people to start a family.
What do you make of that? 0896 111 111 author and demographer Paul Morland joins us now. Good morning, Paul. It is lovely to have you here. People are getting riled up about this. So can you tell us exactly why you think childless people should be taxed more?
I think there are two things. First of all, are we going to be short of people? And certainly in the UK, the number of under fives is dropping like a stone. That's true of a lot of the developed world. Just the fact that there are more people in other parts of the world doesn't necessarily solve the problem. Then if you agree with that, what can we do about it? Well, ultimately, it's down to people, their choices and decisions, but the government can nudge people. And I have a number of suggestions, including making childcare more affordable, making housing more affordable, but some of that has got to be funded. Now, in much of the world, including places like France and Luxembourg, people who have children pay a little less tax than people who don't have children. That's quite common. And that's all I'm suggesting, a slightly higher rate of tax for people who don't have children, a slightly lower rate of tax for people who do have them, and that helping to fund childcare, helping to fund some more IVF so that people really can have children or assisted to, if at all possible.
So for the fact that you don't want, for whatever personal reasons you don't want, Muireann has no children, I've no children, we should be taxed more?
I think that is obviously your choice, and I don't want to go back to a world where people have no choice. I don't want to go back to a world where abortion is unavailable or illegal, or certainly not contraception. I don't want to go back, say, to the Ireland of 50 years ago. We've got to invent a new form of pronatalism, a new form, an egalitarian form where men play their share, it's not all down to the woman, of creating the next generation. Now, if you don't have children, that's fine, that's your choice. But it's true you're paying taxes today for other people's children's education, but you're going to need the next generation to be there for you, to drive the tankers, to deliver food to the supermarkets, to be in the hospitals looking after you. And we've all got to share that cost.
I just think because we are already paying tax for other people's children. Like if someone's at home right now and they're 25 years old and they're working, they are paying tax towards children's allowance. You know, they're paying for children's hospitals, they're paying for schools, they're paying for teachers. So you're already doing that. And why do you think that they should have to contribute more to raising other people's children when we do have, and I understand it, there are birth rates are dropping in the developed world, but we do have an overpopulation crisis all over the world. So can we not just do this through immigration?
Well, first of all, tax, then immigration. On the tax side, we all pay for each other. I mean, that's the basis of the welfare state. I go to the doctor, the GP, about once every 5 years. I haven't been inside a hospital as a patient for about 25 years. It doesn't occur to me, oh my goodness, I'm paying for someone else. Isn't that unfair? That's how we live as a society. We all redistribute. I'm just saying, let's redistribute a little bit more to people who are bearing the cost of actually creating the next generation.
Well, Paul, it's lovely that
immigration. Sorry.
No, it's lovely that you're fine and healthy. But what about some people out there who can't have children for medical reasons or whatever other reasons, and they just can't have children? Why should they be taxed more?
Today, they are paying tax for the education of other children. They're not getting child benefit. Now, I never heard anyone say it's so unfair. I pay my taxes and I don't get child benefit because I haven't got children. People may choose not to have children. People may not be able to have children. And as I've said, they should be assisted if they can't and they want to. But nobody complains at the idea that, oh, my goodness, I haven't got children and I'm financing child benefit. Why should they care or why should they object if they're being told, pay a little bit more and there'll be a little bit more money going to those who are bearing the cost of children?
Because it does feel targeted and unfair. So if people who do have children, Paul, OK? So people who do have children, should they have to pay, we've got a carbon tax in Ireland, should they have to pay a higher rate in carbon tax because they're putting more emissions into the world than people who don't have children? So should they have to do that?
I don't believe that because that would discourage the future generation. Now, I think we do need another generation. As I said, we need people to be doing all the... I don't know what it's like in Ireland, but in the UK, we are desperately short of labour. We're having very high levels of immigration. If I can talk briefly about the question of
But is that not just Brexit, Paul?
Yeah, no,
Could Brexit have... Brexit is an issue to do with that because you don't have the freedom of movement of people from European countries anymore.
It's not the case because we have a higher level of immigration now than we had when we were in the European Union. Brexit has meant that the government can choose where people come from, and it's not obliged to take people from Europe, which I regret. I mean, I was not in favour of stopping immigration from Europe. I welcomed immigration from Europe. In fact, my own parents are immigrants from Europe. But the fact is, we actually have higher immigration now than we had when we were in the EU. It's not about Brexit. It's about the fact that the number of people entering the workforce now is about equal to the number of leaving it. And when I joined the workforce in the 80s, there were twice as many people coming in as leaving it. And we need that kind of ratio to keep the economy moving.
But I mean, OK, we get back to maybe what Muireann was mentioned before, that climate change activists are saying because of the growing population, the population crisis that we have in certain parts of the world, that it is contributing to the global crisis that
There'll be no planet left.
There'll be no planet left. If we all go, oh, have more babies, you get more money.
Globally, the population of the world is growing, but it's slowing really quickly. And more countries are falling into the area of a falling or potentially falling population, a sub-replacement birth rate. You can walk all the way from Portugal to Singapore and only walk on countries where the replacement level is below, where the fertility rate is below replacement level. I think that is a future emergency. Of course, we should assist countries which have very, very high fertility, much of sub-Saharan Africa, in bringing that down, giving people the choices and women control over their own bodies. I'm all in favour of that, but that is not going to solve the problem of labour shortages all the way from Portugal to Singapore.
And Paul, I'm just wondering, because he said women should have choices over their own body. Obviously, it does feel like globally the conversation, it feels like there is a bit of an assault on that at the minute. But does the same apply for people in the LGBTQI plus community? If you are in a couple or if you're able to have a child, which men can do, they can get surrogates now. Do they have to be taxed at the higher rate as well? Or is this all targeted towards women?
The way that child benefit works today and the way that tax breaks work on much of the continent can be completely replicated here. It can be shared, like the responsibility of bringing up children can be shared between parents. I strongly support helping anyone who wants to have a child, whatever their sexual orientation. So this is actually about choice and about freedom. It's not about targeting it at specific people who one group or another group consider suitable.
Well, Paul, it is absolutely, honestly, it's fascinating. It's been lovely to talk to you. Your book is called Tomorrow's People, The Future of Humanity in 10 Numbers. Thank you so much for getting up this morning and having a chat with us. Dr. Paul Morland, cheers.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
What do you make of that? I'm not paying more tax. I'm already paying. If you're a single person, you can't get a house, you can't get a mortgage, you're paying a high. You know when you look at the budget, we're going to be talking about the budget in a minute, and it's
but
always.
Luckily, Paul's not in government.
It's and I know it's in the UK, but you know the way when you look at it, every time you look at the papers during the budget, it's a family with two kids, a family with two kids. I'm like, that's not what a family looks like anymore. No. Drives me mad. Anyway, are you childless? Do you want to pay more tax?
Let us know. We'd love
to hear
from you.
For other people's children? Do you think that's right? 0896 111 111.